Sheriff Hill, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, welcome to the October 7th Shawnee County Board of County Commissioners. On my right is Commissioner Kevin Cook, who represents the 2nd District. And on my left, Aaron Mays, who soon will be representing District 3. And I'm Bill Rippon, present chair, representing District 1. First on the agenda.
First item is swearing in of 3rd District Commissioner-elect Mayor Aaron Mays. So, you have your wife here with you?
Yes.
Oh, checking it out.
Where do you want this? I want to stand in front of the table here. Okay. Father, would you put your left hand on the Bible? Raise your right hand, and I will say mine and you. I, Aaron D. Mays, do solemnly swear
I, Aaron D. Mays, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and will fully discharge
and will fully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
Shawnee County Commissioner, 3rd District.
Shawnee County Commissioner, 3rd District.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, sir. Let's make this official and get your signature here.
Okay?
That's it.
Done. Welcome aboard.
Thanks.
All right. Next agenda item.
Item 3, consent agenda.
Are there any questions on the consent agenda?
I'll move for approval as presented. I would note my appreciation to KVC Behavioral Health Care on item number 7, the National Adoption Day of November the 16th, and they'll be using the courthouse, and that's always a very joyous occasion for many families in Shawnee County. But I would move for approval of the consent agenda as presented.
I would second.
It's been moved and seconded. It's been moved by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next agenda item.
Item 4, new business, A, County Clerk number 1, consider all voucher payments.
Mr. Chairman, there are voucher payments for October the 4th of 2019 in the amount of $2,051,917.79. The highlights out of the voucher report are our allocations of $104,132.76, holding accounts to the state of Kansas, health insurance premiums of $107,280.83. The Parks and Recreation was $139,616.96, and then finally the majority is made up of our JADO payment, which was $643,483.92. I have no questions about the vouchers, and I would move for their approval.
I would second that.
Commissioner Cook has moved to approve the vouchers, been seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item A2, consider correction orders.
I would move that we approve the correction orders.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Rippon and seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item B, emergency management number 1, consider approval of request to grant funding of $10,590.32 from the First Responder Grant Program for 3 projects.
Commissioners, Nelson Castile, Ambulance Compliance Officer. This is year 3 of our contract with AMR, and as a part of that contract, the fines and penalties that they pay for being late or not gaining an exemption on a call go into that fund that you create, a special revenue fund, and it is, process was just put back into effect after last year. We had some lessons learned. This will be the first year of the process under the new Resolution 2019-31. There were 3 applicants that turned in requests on time. How it works is on June 1st of each year, I get the information from Director Greiner as to how much is in that special revenue fund. That becomes available for the year, the fiscal year that we're in, and then from June 1 to July 1, they have a application they can fill out. The resolution should be on the back of your packet. The 2 biggest rules on it, though, is that it cannot directly benefit my office, and it cannot directly benefit AMR. The request from Dover Fire is for the pulse oximeters. That is actually something they would use in the field. The request from the City of Topeka Fire Department and Shawnee County Fire District 1 are the Stop the Bleed training kits. You will notice there is a difference on the prices between them. They are essentially going to be the same kits and the same type of training kits. The price difference is there's over 200 firefighters on City of Topeka when compared to the 40 or 50 that Shawnee County Fire District 1 has. So they are ordering the additional ones so everybody can have the training kits, and they don't wear out one kit in that quick of a progression. So I would stand for any questions.
Mr. Chairman. Nelson, again, the amount of money that we have for the educational training, its source comes from the fines that are assessed to AMR?
Yes, sir.
And so these are not direct tax dollars being spent. These are a fine from AMR, which is then going back and reinvested into the community for education.
Yes, sir, and that was the intent when the RFP was issued, and that was what the commissioners wanted to see happen in the past. It pretty much just came into the general fund and went to wherever those funds go. This one, as part of the contract, they wanted to give back to the community for some of those departments for the training, education, equipment. It can be for use in the field like the Dover pieces of equipment there, or for training like City of Topeka or District 1.
Okay. I don't have any other questions.
Any questions?
I don't.
Have a motion?
I move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Mays, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Next agenda item.
Item C, Public Works. Number 1, consider approval of request relating to the Sherwood Regional Wastewater Treatment Plant, new teacup grit unit. A, request to schedule a public hearing during the Thursday, October 31st Commission meeting to hear comments about the design-build process. And B, request to use design-build as an alternative to the traditional design-bid-build project delivery process at the conclusion of the public hearing.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kurt Niehaus, Director of Public Works. This is the teacup out at the Sherwood Wastewater Treatment Plant. Normally, when we secure project delivery, we use the process known as design bid build. We bring a consultant on board, and the consultant prepares plans, and then we let a project, and through low bid, generally low bid, not always the lowest bid, we bring a contractor on board. What we would like to do here is bring a contractor and a consultant on board, select a contractor and consultant at the same time, a contractor-consultant team, with the contractor being the primary partner, and we would bring them on board. At some point, we would negotiate a not-to-exceed cost for the project, and then it would move directly into construction. To go back in time a little bit, this teacup project is one of the projects identified, one of the critical projects identified to be constructed or completed with the $7 million KDHE loan. State statute requires that when you use an alternate design method or alternate project delivery method, you have to have a public hearing. So I'm here before you to ask you to approve a public hearing on Halloween, October 31st, to discuss the merits of this alternate project delivery method. Again, we believe this teacup replacement is primarily an installation or construction issue, the contractor requiring the assistance of a designer. We think it falls in line, or it's a perfect project for the design-build project delivery method. So with that, I'll take your questions. This is not an approval yet for the project. This is merely an approval to do a public hearing on October 31st.
I know we have a number of facilities in that area that need renovating. Do we have a plan in place for each year to be working on those, or?
We have a facilities plan, and just as a reminder, we have a public hearing scheduled for the October 21st commission meeting where we discuss that facilities plan. Here last month, we had a public meeting at the Sherwood Lake Club where we discussed the facilities plan, and the public hearing will complete that requirement for our KDHE loan. So to answer your question, yes, we have a number of projects planned for the Lake Sherwood treatment system, and the teacup is just the first of many.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bill, this is again something that's, or Kurt, sorry. This is something that is paid for by the Lake Sherwood residents, not paid out of general tax dollars?
Yes, ultimately, when this project, when we've brought a contractor and designer on board and we move toward construction and fees are invoiced to the county, ultimately, the $7 million loan will pay for the construction, but all repayments of the loan will come from Sherwood wastewater user fees.
Mr. Mays, do you have any questions?
Nope.
I move that we approve this.
And that would be for the public hearing on October the 31st, as well as the request to have a design build as opposed to design build, bid build?
Yes.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. All opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item C2, consider authorization and execution of contract C351-2019 with Finney and Turnipseed Transportation and Civil Engineering, LLC, for design and construction engineering services for the Southeast Barrington Road culverts over tributary to Lynn Creek project at a cost of $190,100 with funding from the Special Bridge Fund.
Courtney House, Director of Public Works. Back on April 11th, we came before you requesting permission to issue RFQs. A selection committee intervened on May 21st and unanimously selected Finney and Turnipseed to replace 3 structures that we have on Barrington Road. This is an example of the structures. It's basically an old stone structure that originally had a timber wearing surface deck, and sometime in the 20s they came back, widened the bridge with concrete, and put a concrete deck on it. So we were asking for your permission to expend this $190,000 on a design contract with Finney and Turnipseed to ultimately replace these 3 structures that have a similar appearance to what you see before you.
Timeline for construction?
We anticipate this going to letting maybe mid of next year, possibly later, but it will be no earlier than probably May, June of next year.
Do you anticipate this having any conflict, the work that we're doing on 45th Street around that same time frame?
The work on 45th Street won't take place until 2021.
So
And this
should be-
project will be complete by then.
Okay, that was my question.
Okay.
Will this widen the road, or, I mean, will this bridge structure be wider than the current one?
Yes, yeah, there will at least be 28 feet roadway.
Okay. Commissioner Mays, you have any questions? No. All right. I will move that we approve this project.
One second.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item D, solid waste. Number 1, consider approval of request to authorize an emergency expenditure of $12,498.53 for driveline repairs to a solid waste truck with funding from the Solid Waste Fund.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bill Sutton, Director of Solid Waste. Recently, one of our side loader recycle trucks had a driveline failure, rear differential. This repair was outside the scope that our maintenance staff could perform. We had to take it to a local service provider. That quote came back $12,498. We submitted an emergency purchase order that has gone through audit finance and got their approval. So today we're requesting approval of that emergency purchase order to get this truck back in operation. Stand by for questions.
I have none.
Question?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
All right, motion's been moved by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Next item.
Item E, corrections. Number 1, consider approval of request to negotiate a final agreement with Aramark to provide commissary services for the adult and juvenile population.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Cole, Shawnee County Department of Corrections. This is a request after the Board of Commissioners approved and allowed us to go out for bid. We did receive 3 bids from competitive vendors in this area for commissary services, and we would like to move, after a very comprehensive review from our administrative team, which consisted of our deputy directors, we have decided that we would like to go into a negotiation with Aramark Correctional Services for commissary. One of the things that you will see coming down the line is a request to move forward with our food services with Aramark. One of the things that, at the request of the commissioners, initially going through this process, we wanted to put everything under one vendor. It made for better sense in our eyes to go under one vendor to do both food service and commissary, but we all then started thinking that it would be not responsible for us to do that because that would limit the amount of vendors can be out there who are competitive in both food service or commissary. So we did split those up. And I can assure you that while we do believe that we will find efficiencies in going in with one vendor, if approved, I can reassure you that these were both objectively separated. They were objectively reviewed and comprehensively reviewed against the RFP. We do feel that Aramark brings forward the best customer service, the best prices, and the ability for us to professionally move forward with these services. So this is just the request to move forward to negotiate a contract, and then we would go through Jim Crowell's office and everybody else to go through the final approval through your office. So I would stand for any questions you may have. Thank you.
Is Aramark our current vendor?
Yes, yes, sir.
For both?
Yes.
I move that we approve.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Next.
Item E2, consider approval of request to fill 1 vacant juvenile intensive supervision officer position at a salary including benefits of $66,089.79 with funding from the Juvenile ISP Juvenile Case Management Funds, Management Budget Funds.
Thank you, Cindy. Brian Cole, Shawnee County Department of Corrections. This is a request due to a resignation of an officer that is moving on to the federal probation, we believe. But due to resignation, we would like to be able to fill this position. It is a juvenile intensive supervised probation officer. The funds for this are available. This is not a new position. This is just our request to fill a current vacancy, and we do have the funds budget for this in our budget. And I'd stand for any questions you may have.
I have none.
Questions?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Next.
Item E3, consider approval of request to fill 1 additional adults intensive supervision officer position at a cost of $13,743.74 for salary and benefits for approximately 8 weeks with funding from the adult ISP budget funds with the employee's salary covered once scheduled resignation dates to take effect on December 20th of 2019.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Cole, Shawnee County Department of Corrections. This is an unusual request. We do have the retirement of an officer, a probation officer of well over 30 years that will be becoming effective in December. And with that, that would be Jill Tipton-Bell, who has done a remarkable job with our agency. And Jill has set the standard very high when it comes to intensive supervised probation officers. What we were asking today is that to be able to hire a person who can sell alongside with her and from now, the effective date today until she retires, to get the needed treatment and training that we would like to be able to have in this. Jill is a very good trainer that we believe that this would be very beneficial. One of the things we did look at was our budget in ISP. We met with Angela Lewis, and Human Resource Director, regarding this, and we both felt that this was a good idea to bring this person on when we had the money to be able to bring them on and to be able to train them at the same time. We typically don't do that, but in this, there is a lot of changes in the laws with the DUI laws and Senate bills and a lot of different things that affect this job. And we just feel that if we have the money, it's not a demand just to spend money, but we do believe that this would be for training and be able to get this new officer when Jill retires to have this officer ready to go. So I would stand for any questions you may have.
Any questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Mays, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you very much, Commission.
Next,
Item F, Parks and Recreation. Number 1, consider approval of request to solicit bids for a golf course point-of-sale system and website hosting service for use at Lake Shawnee, Cypress Ridge, and Forbes golf courses.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jeremy Myers, Parks and Recreation. Welcome, Commissioner Mays. Look forward to working with you as well. What we have before us is to go out for to check out other systems and platforms that we have for our golf courses. Currently, we have Golf Now, and we use them since 2015. Per audit finance, we probably should get out there and see what other platforms are out there for our customers, ease of our golf course software, tee times, and et cetera. So I'd stand for any questions you may have.
Jeremy, we're using a different hosting platform for golf than we use for the rest of Parks and Recreation.
Yes.
Why do we have two different platforms for Parks and Recreation?
Currently, our Parks and Recreation software does not offer a golf package right now, but I would imagine that they would be looking into if that we're to reach out to them to explore that.
Okay. I mean, you have two companies working within Parks and Recreation, and then if you count the quick scores for all of the other activities, you really have three different hosting platforms.
Yep. I would say for the golf, definitely this is, like Golf Now is golf-based, customer-friendly, used for golf courses around the nation. Probably the best that we have to offer right now. The current software for Parks and Recreation website probably isn't the best right now yet, but we may reach out to them and say, hey, can you get some golf in there as well?
Okay. I mean, I think we want to use something that is going to be well-used or easy used for the public, and if this is the leader in the golf network, that would be a compelling reason to use them.
any questions?
No questions for me.
Move for approval.
Second?
It's been moved by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Next item.
Item F2, consider authorization and execution of contract C352-2019 with the American Leak Detection to assist Parks and Recreation with locating a potential problem in the Rossville Pool facility, facility at a cost of $645 minimum for the initial hour and $181 for each additional hour, plus materials and supplies provided by the Park Service Division.
Good morning, Commissioner. Sean Osborne, Parks and Recreation. The item before you is to have a company come in to help us detect an issue that might be there with Rossville Pool that happened late in the season. The contracts there requires a signature from the commission in order to do this work, and this would provide us help to find out actually the leak that may be at Rossville Pool. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Can you walk us through this 2008 contract? While I was not on the commission, my understanding was that the city of Rossville did the fundraising. There was a lot of work in the community to have the pool constructed in Rossville, but it was actually the city of Rossville's pool that we then manage as Shawnee County Parks and Recreation, and that we would oversee the management, the lifeguards, the day-to-day admission, and those sorts of things. But is Shawnee County responsible for the leak?
We are, within that contract, we are liable for the maintenance portion that comes with the pool, the maintenance stuff. So this item would fall within that contract of us taking care of the system. Say, for instance, if we had a pump go down at the Rossville Pool, that would fall back to Shawnee County Parks and Recreation to provide that.
I mean, at what point does it go from maintenance to something that's more severe?
If they were probably wanting something new put in there, say a brand new slide or something like that, that's probably where we would go to Rossville and say, you know, you guys need to provide something of that. But this is an actual maintenance issue that deals with the piping, deals with anything that's within the structure of the pump house and different things. That's why this company's obviously coming in to help us, because we don't have the capabilities to detect that.
What was the quantity of water that we saw the change from year to year?
On this one, it was hard to track because technically that's why we're bringing in this group, is because Rossville could have told us if it was wastewater coming through and we were losing it from, say, a valve that wasn't working right. This is actually something that's probably broke within the ground and seeping out through the ground. That's why we have no way to check. Dave Aliker with Aquatics did contact Rossville, and they were able to check, and we didn't have much wastewater going out, so that's why we knew that this would be the issue.
When we were looking at the Shawnee North baby pool, and we had a very similar issue, and we went out for bid, and our bid came back over 100,000 higher than what we anticipated. And this could be a very costly repair.
It could. It depends on, yes, you're right, it could be. But that's why we brought in this company to see. It could just be a break in a pipe, and then that's just a quick, easy fix on our part of basically bringing, you know, our group in or somebody else to fix the piece of PVC pipe that may have broke.
But if it's not that, we might be looking at the city of Rossville not having a pool next year.
That's probably where we could probably go back, maybe negotiate with Rossville, maybe come together and work something out.
And we've gone for 2 years without a pool at the Shawnee North for the baby pool.
Yes.
And so,
I suppose it makes a huge difference in the location of where the problem is with the pool, how much it's gonna cost. But with this contract, it's pretty open-ended. Did they give you any kind of a worst-case scenario of what this might cost if,
Well, we're definitely gonna have our group of people there, and they're gonna be working right with them. If it gets to a certain point, then obviously, you know, we'll say, hey, you know, we're gonna back off of this, because it does state in there, that it's $645 minimum, and then it's $181 each, past that hour. So we are gonna have staff on hand that's gonna monitor everything, that's right there. And we kinda have an idea where we think the leak might be, but, like I said, we don't have the equipment that these individuals do.
what kind of equipment do they, how do they detect the leaks?
They usually, they have this earpiece thing, they have a deal that goes around, and they can tell and see, and you can hear. Sometimes they can scope, they can take a deal in and they can find it. It just depends, kind of like what we did at Shawnee North Pool, where they take and run a camera through the pipe and they can kind of see if there's any spidering or anything within the pipe itself.
But you're not gonna know until you actually get in there the extent of the damage to the pool.
Yes.
And are you gonna be able to start this right away? We're coming into a winter season. I mean, we're forecasted for some flurries on Friday. So, I mean, it's going to be here before we know it.
It just depends on the construction and what it entails, and if it's just a basic, busted pipe, that's probably the best case scenario, but until we get in there, we really don't know. 'Cause it's easy for us when it's in a pump house. We can see the pipes, we can see the leak, but things below ground, it's very difficult for us to find that out.
Well,
Well, I'll move that we approve. We need to find the leak and get on it. So.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Next agenda item.
Item F3, consider authorization and execution of contract C353-2019, a 3-year agreement with Quick Scores LLC and Shawnee County Parks and Recreation for sports scheduling software at a cost of $5,500 for the first year, $5,000 for the second year, and $4,350 for the third year, with funding from the Park Service Division operating budget.
Good morning, Commissioner. Sean Osborne, Parks and Recreation. The item before you is a software package that we've used for years within Shawnee County for the sports department. This package is also used by 270 other Parks and Recreation agencies across the United States. This software gives us the opportunity to have user groups that help us do scheduling and different things like that, from basically Dornwood to Scaba to girls softball. We have league reps that are able to get on there and do different types of scheduling that helps the sports department. And then also coaches are able to get on there and enter the scores in order to keep everything running smoothly. So it is a user-friendly software that actually helps the community plus helps the sports division. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
So this is basically a 3-year contract.
Yeah, as the clerk read, it is a 3-year contract with the price going down each year. And then the third year it would be at, I believe it was 4,500? 43.
I'll move for approval.
Go ahead. I'll second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Next.
Item F4, consider approval of request to apply for a Healthy Play Incentive Game Time Grant to be utilized for composite play structures to be placed in Austin, Collins, Eastgate, Eastboro, Hughes, Major Palm, Meadowwood, Willow, Santa Fe, Cushenberry, and Central Park at a total project cost of $778,326.50, with funding of $290,000 provided by the Excess Reserve Fund, $240,000 in grant funding, and $248,326.50 in capital maintenance 3R fund.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tim Laurent, Shawnee County Parks and Recreation Department. Yes, what we're asking for today is permission to go out for this grant, to apply for this grant. To give you a little bit of history, last year Parks and Recreation was awarded $3 million of excess reserve money, funding to go out and replace, replace deferred maintenance items or work on deferred maintenance items. These playground equipment is part of that process. So we had been up here previously and had a budget approved. As we were going through that process, Brian Toby, who's with us here today, found this grant, which if we were to apply for and be successful in obtaining, would basically match our project budget for that playground equipment. So we would essentially double what we had to spend, further making use of that excess reserve money. So that's what we're asking for today, is to apply for the grant. If we're successful, then we would come back to this board and with the next phase, which would be actually purchasing the equipment from this, what would ultimately be a sole source vendor. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
How sure are you, or how confidence level do you have for the grant application?
Well, I don't want to, I'm actually pretty confident. I hate to say that here on record, but we're being told by the organization that's doing the grant that we meet all the criteria and that it's really just a formality of applying. Now, we'll have to wait and see if that, if that is true.
And if we don't receive the grant, would we then go back over these listed parks and then look at our money that's been set aside to maybe prioritize some of the parks?
We would. The actual listing on here, there were 8 original parks that were evaluated and scheduled to get new playground equipment. When we saw the grant, we actually added 3 more, which was Central Park, Santa Fe, and I believe Collins Park. If we were unsuccessful in getting the grant, then we would need to go back and reevaluate.
I'm a little hurt. These are playgrounds I put in 30 years ago. Will these playgrounds have the rubber matting underneath them?
They will. That's not covered as part of this process, so we would be responsible for the pour-in-place surfacing and the concrete.
Okay,
I'll move for approval of the request to go out for the grant.
I will second that. It's been moved by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Next item.
Item G, Health Department, number 1, consider approval of request to create and fill an intermittent advanced practice registered nurse position for the Family Planning Program at a salary including benefits of $51,151 with funding from the 2020 Aid to Local Grant from the Kansas Department of Health and Environment.
Good morning, Commissioners. Carrie Delfs with the Health Department. Before you this morning, we're asking for your approval to create and fill this advanced practice registered nurse position. This nurse would be responsible for providing a majority of the care to family planning patients. There's also quite a bit of reporting documentation that the provider would be collecting that we would then in turn relay to KDHE. This position is funded through our 2020 Aid to Local Grant. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Good. Commissioner Manning. I'll move that we approve.
I'll second.
Been moved by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Item G2, consider authorization and execution of contract C354-2019 with the Kansas Department of Health and Environment to provide $3,000 to help control tuberculosis in Shawnee County for the contract period of July 1, 2019 through June 30, 2020.
Carrie Delfs again with the Health Department. We're asking for your approval to renew the contract with KDHE to provide this funding to help offset our TB control activities. In 2018, we had 4 cases of TB disease, which is also known as active TB. This is where there's that potential to spread it to the community. Through this funding, we're able to provide treatment, get these folks to medical appointments, and help just control that condition. This funding also helps with TB infection. That is where somebody's infected with TB bacteria but not contagious. So the goal with these patients is getting them treatment with antibiotics, usually about 9 months worth. So this provides some funding for those activities as well. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I don't have any questions.
I just have some questions about these TB cases. Are these people that moved into this area, or is this something from shingles or something like that that's reoccurring, or?
No, Kansas is a low incidence area for TB, but we do see more cases in populations that were born outside the U.S., people that maybe live or have worked in high-risk settings like corrections, long-term care, those type of settings.
Any other questions? I'll move that we approve.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Next,
Item 5, Administrative Communications.
I would take this time for anyone to speak about any items.
Commissioners, John Fisher, 3517 Southwest Wanamaker Court. The last subject was talking about tuberculosis. If I remember correctly, in the last ballpark 8 years, there was an $8,000 study on Zika virus. Is there any study going on in Shawnee County on Zika virus? Because September is supposed to, or wait, August is supposed to be the driest month of the year, but this year it was the wettest month of the year. Mosquitoes are carriers of Zika virus. Is there any study going on Zika virus in Shawnee County, sirs?
Yes.
Good morning, Commissioners. Linda Oaks from the Health Department. I can speak to that. We actually do mosquito trapping. We trap mosquitoes in areas around Shawnee County. We're seeing a great decrease in the mosquitoes. I don't believe we have trapped any of the mosquitoes, the Aedes species that carry that virus. We have seen the Culex species, which can carry West Nile, but we have not had any cases of West Nile reported in Shawnee County this year. So it's been a wet year, but it's cooling down. The mosquitoes should be on their way out.
Yes. Every 56 days, I donate blood as a civic duty. One of the tests in the last 2 or 3 months was they checked for Zika virus at the community health center. Just throwing out as trivia. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Randy Luby, Parks and Recreation. As you are aware, we had our 40th Apple Festival this last weekend. Despite a shaky weather early on Saturday, we had a really good turnout. This event just gets better every year, and I just want to take the time to have a shout out to all the volunteers that make this event possible, the Friends of Ward Mead, and John Bell and his staff. They do a tremendous job. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning, Commissioners. Andrew Howell, Shawnee County Elections. Just a couple of reminders. October the 15th is the last day to register to vote, so I just want to remind everybody about that. And October 21st, we will begin advanced voting in the office. So a couple of key dates I just kind of want to remind the public about. Also, just wanted to say a big thank you to Kurt and Public Works. The fine folks over there did an excellent job doing repairs on our parking lot, so I just wanted to say thank you to them for a nice job. They did excellent work. I was impressed with the work they did, so thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Cole, Shawnee County Department of Corrections. I just want to publicly announce that we will have our United Way burrito sale today at the Department of Corrections in the lobby from 10:30 till 1:30 or 10 to 1:30. We will sell out. These always do. $5 for two very big burritos and I believe a drink. So if you want something, if you want it ahead of time, you better call because we will sell out of these. And I just want to let everybody know that's our, this is all goes to United Way and helping out. Thank you.
Kurt Niehaus, Director of Public Works. 2 items. First, I'd like to introduce some new Deputy Public Works Director, Jeff Hunt. He will be working with Tom Flanagan between now. I guess he's just starting his 4th week, so he's been working with Tom Flanagan and will continue to do so until Tom retires early next year. And second, I have some KDOT friends here that like to come forward and say a few things.
Morning, Commissioners. Leroy Kane. I'm the District Engineer for KDOT for the Northeast District. It's about 17 counties in the northeast part of the state, encompassing Shawnee County, of course. So I don't come here with any official business. I was at a Kansas Society of Professional Engineers event here recently, in which Kurt Niehaus gave a great presentation. And he went over some of the commissioners there, and it struck me that I didn't know, had never met the commissioners, so I just wanted to appear, make sure you guys know who we are, and so that I put faces to the names as well. So as you circulate around and may have questions about operations, your constituents have questions about what KDOT does, just wanted to make sure you knew who we were and give us a call. Steve Ballman is the Metro engineer out of the Metro office over at Gage. So I've got some cards here. Did you bring some as well?
Yes, I did.
We'll leave those here, and this is just an introductory appearance. So, thanks.
Thank you. Do want to thank you for all the work that KDOT did with the Willard Bridge. We would not have been able to have completed it with as much efficiency as we did, but for KDOT. So it's a couple years down the road, but still, our much gratitude to KDOT.
I also want to thank you for the public engagement meeting you had. There's a lot of good ideas floating around the room, so thanks for putting that all together.
Round 2, those public consults will be coming up, so if you haven't
on my
heard about it
calendar.
already, that will be announced soon.
Thank you very
You got
much.
anything?
No, just if you have any questions of what's going on with KDOT in the immediate Shawnee County area, feel free to call me. I'll do my best to answer your concerns or answer your questions.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
Morning, Commissioners. Under Sheriff Jay Semeka. On behalf of the Sheriff's Office, we want to thank Mr. Mays for his service as the chairman of the Civil Service Board. He had been in that capacity for several years, and we will miss his leadership in that role. However, we welcome him in his new role and look forward to working with him. Secondly, last week, Sheriff Hill met with Jackson County Sheriff Tim Morris to discuss some interoperability and interjurisdictional boundary crossover. With that regard, there is a number of instances where detectives from Jackson County need to come to Shawnee County, and our detectives need to go to Jackson County. In order to enhance that and reduce crime in both jurisdictions, the sheriff has deputized a handful of their detectives and command staff in order to provide just a better collaborative and working relationship. Just want to advise the board. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Commissioner Cook?
Well, I'll save Montgomery for you or Commissioner Mays to talk about. I won't steal the thunder there. I do understand that you gave quite the compelling tour of the Ward Mead mansions during the Old Prairie Town Apple Festival, and thank you for coming out and helping do that and being available to the public. Sunday was not rainy, it was cool, but it was a good event and attended by many, and so thank Parks and Recreation for a very professional event.
Yeah, they did an excellent job running the event, and it was fun to be out there. I enjoy working out there every year. I don't think I've missed an Apple Festival in, 30 years. So it was good to be out there again.
In other news, on tomorrow at 10:30 is the ribbon cutting for the Claire's Garden, and this is at the public library. And so we have received an invitation to attend for their ribbon cutting of their new courtyard, and I look forward to that. And then finally, with Commissioner Mays coming on board, I would ask that we consider placing on the October 21st agenda a discussion and possible action of the capital outlay budget, bonding, and design build for the family park at 21st and Urish, including pickleball, recreational center, as well as the Deer Creek Trail, to allow Commissioner Mays to have some input into that. The 21st is a couple weeks down the road. Let him have some input into that, because that is an issue that is in his district, and I'm sure that he's probably fielded more than his fair share of phone calls in the last week over that. So.
Okay. Do you have anything?
Well, I would just, want to thank everybody for the warm welcome. I'm going to try in the next couple of weeks to get together with all the department heads. So if we've not talked yet, please feel free to reach out and we can get together for a meeting. Also wanted to kind of comment on the Expedition Montgomery. We were all three on that trip, and had a kind of an eye-opening experience. I feel there's a lot of similarities between Montgomery and Topeka and Shawnee County, I guess. But I feel like we've learned a lot from that. So.
Yeah. Well, we had a fairly large group there. We had like 60 people from Topeka, and these were public and private figures that were there. Like Commissioner Cook said, all the commissioners were there, probably half of the city council, police chief, fire. Chief, we had a lot of people from the chamber, but also from the public sector too, which was good to have them there. I kind of felt like we were looking into a mirror a lot of the days there. They're the capital of Alabama. They have a river. They've done a little riverfront development through there. They have a lot of the same issues we have. They have a lot of public buildings that aren't on the tax roll, and that's an issue with them. They have an Air Force base there. I don't know of how it compares in size to ours, but it's a presence that they have there. They have a lot of the same issues, especially with education and economic development. So it was a good trip, and I think we all enjoyed it, and we learned a tremendous amount. And it's always good to talk to people from other cities to see what they're doing and see their vision of what they can do. And they have a good vision there. They've made some great improvements in the last 15, 20 years, and there's a lot to be learned. That's it. Next on the agenda.
Item 6, executive session.
There's no need for executive session, so we're adjourned.